too, when you feel like a shift or when there is a shift in your values, your faith. Maybe you're going to church more, or you are praying more, or you're fasting more. Maybe you did go to a lot of parties and the clubs and the things with the friends, and you don't want to do those things more because part of you feels like it's drawing you, away from God, or you just want to spend more time doing something different. And it may be faith. It may just be now you want to hike more, and that friend, all y'all did was Netflix and chill. I don't know. But sometimes when your values change or your priorities change, you can feel like you're growing in a different direction.
This is Trusting Her Journey podcast, episode 6.
Season 2.
Season 2, episode 6. All right. Hey, Crystalline, how are you?
Hey, Felicia, how are you?
I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Doing good. I feel a little.
Yeah.
It's okay. It's gonna be
fine. It's gonna be fine. We're not even gonna pour energy into that. We're going to think beyond and say we're going to be okay. We're claiming that our voice will do what it needs to do for this episode. I am kind of still on a little bit of I don't want to say high, but like some feel good energy since our last episode 5, where we talked about like friendships and, friendships going through different seasons and changing. And I think I'm feeling that energy for many different reasons. But of course, I loved hearing like the feedback from just people that I know, people in our community in general, just responding, saying like, oh my God, this message was right on time. Some things that, they said some things that I've been considering on my own in terms of my friendships, my relationships. Where do I go from here? And then I think it's the other layer to that is also being on social media and seeing things and hearing things. It seems like friendships and just the types of friendships and disagreements and fallouts and the ins and outs have been a topic for quite some time now. So us having that conversation, I feel like it opened the door for us to continue in a different way. So I'm super excited for today's conversation. And I think many of our listeners and just community would be just as excited. What did you think about last week's episode?
I think some of the same things you said. Of course, our episodes always put me in a state of reflection. How am I showing up? Am I being the most true version of myself?
Yeah.
Basically, am I telling the truth when I'm asked how I'm doing by a friend? Am I sharing how I really feel and what I really think? If I feel like something is happening in a friendship that I don't really like, or I'm not sure how I feel about it, I often find myself saying that friendships are, in so many ways, are so similar to marriage. That the work that is required to strengthen the friendship and stay connected has to be intentional, and both people don't necessarily have to put forth the same percentage of effort.
Yeah.
But both people have to be putting forth some effort.
Yeah.
So the friendship can be long lasting. So I've just been reflecting on all of that. And some of those conversations have been coming up in my session. My sessions before we even had this talk. So yes, the feedback I have been getting is that it was timely.
Yeah. And last week, if you haven't tuned in or listened to the episode yet, we really talked a lot about just like unlearning. We talked about changing, like you change, your relationships change, how our capacity may have shifted from our 20s to 30s and whatever age group you range in. Like, we're just talking about like capacity shifting in general. And then, we really just thought about sitting with, for this episode, what happens when you change and you don't necessarily tell your friends.
Let's be honest. A lot of us are not having those conversations. Now, maybe you have it with your spouse or whoever you're dating. Sadly, you might even have it with the friend that you don't have the issue with. Right?
Yeah.
But nobody's really sitting their friend down and saying, hey, I've changed, or I noticed that you've changed, and let's figure out how we can kind of adjust. That happens, but I think it happens, like I said, with the friend that you don't have the issue with, or unfortunately, maybe most people don't say anything at all.
Yeah. And again, like you said, if we can be honest, I think many of us don't have those conversations with the friends that we need to, because we tell ourselves things like, I don't want to be dramatic. I don't want to be making a big deal. It's really not that serious. We're doing too much. Or there's this fear of, I don't want someone else to think or believe that I'm doing too much. I'm being extra. I'm always having a problem, or I always have something to say or something going on. So we just completely avoid it altogether.
Yeah, no one wants to be seen as needy.
Yeah.
Why is it every time we're connected, I'm talking to you, is you always got something going on, or you there's always a problem, or there's always drama. If you're that friend, then you are probably less likely to kind of say what it is you're really thinking and feeling. And we don't want to hurt people's feelings. If the friendship is a good friendship and it's been a long-lasting friendship, especially, I mean, even some new friendships, you don't want to hurt the person's feelings. You don't want to seem ungrateful. You don't want to risk losing the friendship. And especially for me, I know I value loyalty. And I see myself as a loyal person. And in the Christian faith, we're taught that some things you have to suffer long.
Yeah.
Don't be too easily offended. Don't cause strife. Don't stir up conflict. And we misinterpret that to mean stay quiet.
Yeah. That's true. And even if we want to add another layer to just like being women who are like really rooted in our faith, the other part is speaking as a Black woman, and for so many women of color, there is still this idea that we have to be strong. So, we're always going to be understanding. We want to be flexible. We want to be considered low maintenance. Again, what you said, not feeling needy. And so when things begin to shift, those thoughts come up for us. So again, we go back to like, it's really not that serious. It's okay. I'm fine. I'll adjust. Like, we can keep rocking the way we are. I don't need to tell her that I changed. I don't need to tell him that I changed. Like, I'm just going to be fine. But as we've mentioned in previous podcasts, we're never just fine. Like, we're trying to convince ourselves that we're fine, but internally we're hearing a lot of different voices telling us like, girl, you're not fine. This does not align with you. And there's just a space where we learn how to turn the switch on when we're with our friends, but then behind closed doors, we're like, today drained me. Like, this was a lot for me. And that's where sometimes the loop of just like anxiety and not wanting to go around friends and isolation and all of those things begin to show up, because we're forcing ourselves to be in spaces and in relationships that just don't even feel comfortable or natural for us anymore.
Yes, I agree with everything you just said. We don't, well, I know I have taken for granted that I am well. I think the times when I've been well, meaning like I've had a lot of energy. I'm not super irritable. I mean, at least according to me, I'm not. I don't know what my husband
Yeah.
say, but I'm not
Yeah.
super irritable.
Yeah.
I feel like I'm getting a lot done. I think during those times, instead of embracing those moments, kind of being still more, I probably take on more
Mm,
because I feel like I'm equipped to do that. And those are probably the seasons where I am seeing my friends a lot more, holding space more for
mm-hmm.
them. And I will say that because of my job as a therapist, the work I do, my friends, I have some really good friends, and they often say, I wasn't going to call you about that because I know you've been
Mm-hmm.
listening to people's stuff all day because and I've had to say this to them because they didn't get it before. Hopefully they're getting it more now, but I said like, but that's not personal, that's work. So
Mm-hmm.
I am skilled in that. I don't that it doesn't bother me. Yes, I
Mm-hmm.
can hold space for a client and I feel deeply for them and some of the things that they are going through or struggling with, but it doesn't keep me from being able to show up for the people in my life. Now, is
Yeah.
there a heaviness sometimes or
Mm-hmm.
just uh, the girl just needs some quiet?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
I can have that on a day where I haven't seen any clients. But my point is, when I am fine, I don't know that I embrace that enough. So
Mm,
then the times when I'm not fine, I automatically kind of calculate that if something is wrong with me and I need to shut myself off from everybody and because I don't want to be doing too much in real time in a friendship,
mm-hmm.
my friend could interpret that as me ghosting them.
Yeah.
They could interpret that as me not want to be friends anymore, or they invite me to do stuff and I never want to go or whatever. And really, what the truth is that I probably didn't take care of myself as well as I needed to. So I don't really have anything left for anybody else.
Mm-hmm.
And when we consistently do that, that leaves so much room for resentment and
Yeah.
distance to grow deeper between you and your friend. The assumptions kind of grow louder, especially if you're talking to other friends in the friend group
Yeah.
or outside of the friend group about what you are going through, or
Yeah.
excuse me, how you are feeling about how your friend is treating or mistreating you. No one says anything most of the time, though, unfortunately. We don't say anything to the person that we have the issue with. And then
Mm-hmm.
so much time starts to pass, and sometimes the distance grows deeper. And then you're like, well, what
Yeah.
happened?
Yeah.
Because I thought we
No.
were
Yeah.
on the blank. And really, the truth is, nobody said anything. No
Yeah.
one said anything.
No, that's real. And it leads us to this space of, okay, so you have identified this friendship or friendships, multiple friendships that you are in a space of, you're like, okay, I heard the first episode. I'm learning that my capacity has changed. I don't know what to say or what to do. I feel like I am different, and now I am trying to figure out if the friendship still aligns with me. And so now you're here and you're like, okay, I have identified the friendships where maybe I have outgrown the state or the space that we are in, and maybe your friend has as well. But as you mentioned, we haven't had a conversation, so we're just moving differently. And it's like, well, what happened? Why aren't we the same anymore? Why aren't we talking the way that we used to? And we want to help you. We want to give you the language to have those healthy conversations,
Right.
those healthy, uncomfortable conversations, because I know y'all probably are like, no, girl, that is hard to do. We can't just jump to the point of like communicating. But before we give you the language, something that I think is important, and I'm pretty sure that you would probably agree as well, is to sit with yourself and say, like, is this a friendship that I actually value?
Mm-hmm.
Because listen, not every friendship needs a hard conversation. Now, we're not saying list every friend and say, okay, hard conversation. Like,
Mm-mm.
you really do have to ask yourself, is this a friendship I actually value? And if so, does this friendship need one of those hard conversations?
Right.
And you will
Yeah.
know that because you have decided, you know what, I care about this person. I want this friendship to grow. I want us to evolve. I want this friendship to last. And I'm realizing that this silence is not mature at all. Like this is actually not what I want.
I'm petty.
This is petty. Like this is level 100 petty energy because we're not talking. And I'm
Right.
guilty of that too. Like
Same.
I can 100% say like I'm in this space right now where my mind has shifted to a place of awareness, and now I'm trying to figure out how do I navigate that. And so knowing silence is not getting me anywhere, but communication is going to be the key or the tool that I need for us to, move forward.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. I think it's important to name some of what we feel when distance grows in the friendship, when there's a grievance you have with someone else, they hurt you, even if the hurt is just that we don't talk anymore, or as often as we used to talk. That is grief. Grief
Mm-hmm.
is our emotional response, so our feeling to losing something that was important to us, something or
Mm-hmm.
someone that was important to us, something that mattered to us.
Yeah.
Even if that something or someone, I mean, even if the person is still alive. So when things change, when relationships change, because you can't talk as much as you used to talk, you can't see them as much as you used to see them. That the missing that you feel, that is grief,
Mm-hmm.
and sometimes it causes some of us to lash out,
Mm-hmm.
by saying not so good things about the person
Yeah.
behind their back. Sometimes it causes us to question ourselves. Maybe it was
Mm-hmm.
me, maybe I'm not a good friend. Sometimes you don't even realize that maybe the distance that grew between you happened naturally because it needed to, because
Yeah.
it had to. I had a friend, we are friends still, but we were friends in high school, for so my ninth, 10th, 11th grade year. And then in 12th grade, she had to leave. And back then, I mean, I can't believe I'm saying back then, but then at the time, like people had cell phones, but it was like old school, like the phone in the bag.
Mm-hmm.
So we didn't have, we wasn't rich enough for that. And
Yeah.
so when she left, I didn't see her anymore.
Mm.
And so we didn't graduate together. I went away to school. I don't know. I didn't know what happened to her.
Yeah.
Graduated college, met my husband, well, fiance at the time, got married to my husband, and did not find her until I finally got a Facebook page in 2008. So we're talking about 2000 until 2008. And
Mm.
so for me, because our relationship, although we had not been friends a long time, the relationship meant so much to me. And I grieved that. And it kind of shook me up in a way that it was hard for me to make friends at first when I got to
Mm.
college. But nonetheless, we reconnected because of Facebook. So I was really grateful for social media. And we picked back up, and things were even better than I could have thought they would have been. And we are still friends to this day. But one thing she shared with me was, we were just kind of reminiscing. And she was like, Crystalline, there is no way we could have been friends during that time that we were apart, because of where my life was and because of where I know now your life was. She said we couldn't have been friends. The relationship it wouldn't have worked.
Mm.
I had to grow, and obviously so did I. I had to grow too
Mm-hmm.
in some other ways. And so, but the fact that she was able to share that with me, that type of
Yeah.
vulnerability, does not happen a lot in friendships.
No.
And sometimes people take that so personal, like, well, what you mean you couldn't have, or we couldn't have? But
Yeah.
I get it without
Yeah.
sharing all the details. I get what she means by that. And
Yeah.
that type, the vulnerability that the way that or because she was vulnerable with me, just deepened our connection in a
Mm.
way that is really, really hard, obviously, for me to even put into words.
Yeah.
So grief can happen. and it creates more opportunities for you to grow if you allow it. Instead of, it just being something that keeps the friendship broken, and then now you don't trust nobody and you got a no new friends rule. And
I hate that saying in general, because what do you mean, no new friends? But yeah, I digress.
So, because you shared, and I gave an example about how important communication is in a relationship. I think it'd be helpful. I know it would be helpful for, if y'all are listening, to write down some questions. Sometimes we get the questions at the end, but I want to give y'all some questions now to think about. Number one, when you are trying to decide if the friendship is, what you want to say, worth saving. You have a better expression.
I mean, I think that's just what it boils down to. If you feel like I just don't think that this deserves a clinical term. Like, is this friendship worth saving? Like, is this friendship worth it? Like, some people may even say that.
Yep. So, have I actually communicated that my capacity has changed? Have I actually said that because of my schedule change, or because I'm a mom now, or I'm married now, or, someone in my family has died and my responsibilities have changed, or I'm grieving, or whatever, I don't have the capacity to do the things the way I used to be able to do, to show up in our friendship the way I used to show up. Have you actually said that to your friend? Number one. Number two, have you said what you need, and have you asked them what they need? Are you really asking yourself, what is it I need from this particular friendships or from my friends? And do you ask your friends what they need? Or have you just been adjusting kind of silently and expecting them to show up the way they always did, or to just know? That's a thing too, right?
Because I was gonna say, that's a thing. Like, they should know. Like, they should see all that I have going on, as if they don't have stuff going on too. As if life is not life for them as well.
Yep. So let's give our listeners some ways to have some of the hard conversations. Felicia, what do you think?
Okay, I like that. Okay. So you've done the reflection. You answered the questions that Crystalline just gave you. So like you are sitting down, you have the answers. You're like, okay, no, I haven't done those things, but I want to. So how would you flow into that conversation? Because again, saying things like, I've changed, I'm not going to lie, for me, it's awkward. Like, I can't just text my friends and be like, I mean, I can for some, but I wouldn't just be like, I've changed. And
girl, let me tell you something. No, but I've been wanting to talk to you about something.
Yes.
I don't want you to think I'm pulling away. Something I have, because I have had to have this conversation a few times over the past few years, actually. And I've said things like, I need to tell you something. I don't like when my friends ghost me. That's the thing. Don't just pull away from me, and don't say, hey, send a text. I'm just going through something, and I just can't talk, or I just need to get closer to God. Whatever you want to say. You ain't even have to give me all the details, but just don't ghost me. And so to start that conversation, I've had to say to a friend, like, I need to talk to you. I got to let you know something. Or can we talk about something? Because I don't really, things are kind of feeling different. I don't really know what different means right now, but things are feeling kind of different. So that has been really helpful. And for me and my friends, it really sometimes revolves around like work related stuff, careers changing, roles changing, actual jobs changing. That's where we've had to have those kind of conversations, because I work at home. So sometimes my flexibility looks different than my friends who actually go to work, outside of home every day.
I think even with that, it's like, I love that you said, hey, I'm telling them this about, like, life looks different. I'm going through some things. A follow-up statement or question that you can, ask your friends as well, is like, hey, how can we stay connected during this time? And it is, like, make a plan. And it's okay if for them, they're like, Connection looks like I just need a few weeks to myself. Connections looks like
I've been told
isolation.
that.
That is still them telling you we're connected. I just need to disconnect from technology, from the outside world. Like, I just want to be with myself. So I also want to say that's another way that you can lean into those conversations, because sometimes when we say things like that, people can say like, oh, this relationship feels one-sided. Like, I'm always doing something. Like, I'm always the one showing up. I'm always the one that's calling. I'm always the one that's setting up like the lunch date, the brunches, all of the things. And so a way that we can navigate that type of conversation is like, hey, I've noticed something's been feeling off lately. And sometimes it's okay to say, maybe it's just me, but can we kind of talk about it to make sure I'm not internalizing things, to make sure I'm not making up some stuff? Because sometimes we can build narratives in our minds, and I'm guilty of that. So just saying like, yeah, and going into building a whole scenario. So it's okay to say, I'm noticing that things feel a little off. They're different. I'm not mad. We're not mad. We're not upset. Or I don't feel mad. I'm not upset. But I just think that things are off. And because I care about this friendship so much, can we talk about what's been happening? Because then you're not accusing your friend of not showing up or being one-sided, or you are overdoing it and they're not doing anything. You're actually opening the door for a conversation.
I agree. That happens too when you feel like a shift, or when there is a shift in your values, your faith. Maybe you're going to church more, or you are praying more, or you're fasting more. Maybe you did go to a lot of parties and the clubs and the things with the friends, and you don't want to do those things more because part of you feels like it's drawing you, away from God, or you just want to spend more time doing something different. And it may be faith. It may just be now you want to hike more, and that friend, all y'all did was Netflix and chill. I don't know. But sometimes when your values change or your priorities change, you can feel like you're growing in a different direction. And sometimes you can want to invite your friend into that new space with you, and they don't want to come. Maybe they're not ready, and that's okay. But to say to your friend, look, I'm growing in some areas spiritually and maybe even personally, and certain spaces don't work for me anymore. I'm not comfortable, and that's not you judging them. But I'm not okay with being in certain spaces or certain environments anymore. And so let's find new ways to spend time together, because I still value you. I still value our relationship. I just have to be honest about that shift, as opposed to trying to force yourself to go and hang out. You know, that's not what you want to do, because you got to be at church at 8:00, Crystal, man.
Yeah. One of the things, I'm glad that you even said that around like just your faith and alignment. And I think another piece that we need to talk about that is often one of those buzzworthy conversations on social media is around like just money and lifestyle differences just in general, because, I see it all the time. Conversations about trips, birthday dinners, the gifts. My friend didn't give me this. This person didn't give me this. And
they came on a trip with no money. I planned a party and nobody showed up.
Yeah. Or we went to this expensive dinner and we split the check evenly. It's been conversation after conversation. And I'm not going to lie, I'm drained by the conversations because I feel like we are going to the internet to talk about these conversations before we actually have the conversations with our friends to say like, hey, I've noticed every time we go on a trip, it seems like the money is not flowing, or it seems like there are some things that maybe you're trying to piece together. And I don't want you to do that, because I don't want my friends to be dealing with financial stress behind closed doors. Like,
I don't, for both of us.
Yes. So in those situations where you're noticing like, hey, this wedding is coming up for my friend, this birthday dinner, this birthday trip, these events, all of this stuff, and I just don't know if my financial goals align with these events that are happening right now. Here's how you can lean into some of those conversations. You can say something like, hey, I need to be honest about something. Some of the things we've been doing financially, they just don't fit where I am right now. I promise you, I'm not trying to disappear. I promise I'm not trying to make excuses there, because sometimes people will feel like, oh, they're not showing up for me because they're jealous or they're envious of my life. Like, we do have to name what often may come up or the thoughts that we may have, but it's okay for you to tell them, I'm not trying to do any of those things. I just want to be upfront and honest. And remember, you do not have to give a full synopsis about your financial situation. You just want to say, hey, can we figure out what works for the both of us? Like, is there something else I can do? Is there another way that I can show up for you? I still want to celebrate you. I just don't know if I can celebrate you in the way that you deserve or desire for this year.
Yeah. And you're a true friend who wants to stay connected and preserve the relationship. They will get that. They'll get that. So we hope that some of these conversation starters are helpful for you all. If you're taking notes, this don't have to be dramatic.
It don't.
Unless that's just the nature of your friendship. Sometimes Felicia and I dramatize things. It's
a lot.
A lot. But it doesn't have to be. These things don't have to mean the end of every friendship. Some friendships are supposed to end.
Yes.
Okay. But what's important is that Ephesians 4:15 encourages us to speak the truth in love. And so it's important to consider, why am I saying what I'm saying? Be mindful of your tone when you text. Well, some of these conversations shouldn't happen on text, but that's just
that's neither here nor there.
Notice you gotta. But this is, and I'm not talking about like surface level politeness when I say be kind. I mean, really consider who you're talking to. Consider what the person means to you. That's a part of maturity, emotional maturity. Everybody's talking about that now too. But that means learning how to say the hard things without being harsh and without being silent. Because you don't have to keep it all to yourself all the time. Some things you should, but sometimes you need to speak up and say the hard thing and be kind when you say it, okay?
Yeah.
All right. So what is our rest stop question?
Okay. So our rest stop question for the week is, what conversation am I avoiding because it feels uncomfortable? So that goes back to the beginning of the episode where you had to kind of process or think through, like, what friendships do I really want to like work on, or they're worth it? Is still some value there? So then you have to say, okay, now what conversations am I avoiding because it feels uncomfortable? Because maybe fear may come up, whatever that looks like.
Right.
And the second question for the week is that relationship I value enough to be honest in? So like, if you can, like, do you value that relationship enough to truly be honest?
Tell the truth.
You have to tell the truth. If this is one where you're like, I don't know, maybe you need to sit with that a little bit longer before you just think about, hey, let me have a conversation because they encouraged us to. Like, no. Really think about
you don't want to continue the friendship. Remember, we talked last time about if you've already prayed, or because you've already prayed, and talked to God about this. If you feel there's a pull, or or you've heard that this is a relationship that needs to kind of fizzle out, then honor yourself and honor the God in you.
Yeah.
Just let things be as they may. Be grateful for what it was and let it kind of fizzle out if that's what needs to happen. Y'all, sometimes growing and changing is hard, but it's not wrong for us to grow and change. It's not wrong for us to need different things. If you want your friendship to evolve, though, someone has to go first.
Yes.
Send the first text, make the first call, plan the first coffee date,
Yes.
plan to go across state lines and see whatever you got to do
Yeah.
if you want the friendship to grow and evolve.
Yeah.
And so going first doesn't mean that you're wrong. It doesn't mean that you got to go in all loud and causing all kind of drama either. You just got to be honest.
Yes, that's it, y'all.
Truth and love.
No chaos, okay? Just truth and love. And as a reminder, you don't have to fix everything this week.
Right.
Slow down, just notice it, and if it's time, ask God for some wisdom before you speak, and then speak. But even through all of that, we also want you to remember to trust your journey, whatever that looks for you. Of course, we appreciate you listening. We hope that you share this with your friends and family, and even those that you're still like, I don't know if I want us to continue be friends. Share with everybody. We hope that you like, comment, and subscribe, of course, to the YouTube channel. You can always join our email list at trustingherjourney.com. We'll have all of those things in the show notes. Again, thank you so much, and we hope you have a great week. Bye.
Peace.